Thanks for clicking. Is Canada's real estate market starting to show signs of a slowdown? According to new reports by Equifax and RBC, Canada's housing market is starting to show signs that it might be cooling off.
What are you waiting for?
According to RBC, Canadian homeowners who have largely stayed out of the housing market, holding onto their homes while they waited for prices to rise, have started to see the writing on the wall with rising oil prices, rising interest rates, rising inflation, making it more and more unlikely that Canadians will be able to afford the continual skyrocketing prices. So what I want to do today is go over the reports from Equifax and RBC detailing how Canadian real estate might be turning a corner and that we might be starting to see signs of a slowdown. We are going to have more updates on this channel as we are set to receive Canada's inflation rate next week, and that inflation rate will have a large impact on whether or not the Bank of Canada continues to raise rates in the month of April. If you want to get those updates, make sure you click like and subscribe, but for now, let's get into these reports. According to Equifax, new mortgage growth in Canada declined by 8.1% in the fourth quarter of 2021 compared with the fourth quarter of 2020. Loan amounts actually dropped by 1.5% between the third quarter of last year and the fourth quarter, signifying an actual slowdown in the amount of loans being provided. This was definitely significant as this was the first time the average loan amount for new mortgages has shown a quarter-over-quarter drop since the pandemic began. So since the beginning of the pandemic, loan amounts for new mortgages have gone up and up and up in every subsequent quarter, until this one when we actually saw loan amounts decrease only by 1.5%, but that's moving in a complete opposite direction than it has been for at least the past 2 years.
So now we can start to rebuild.
This doesn't signify a crash in the housing market, but Equifax notes that this very well could be a sign of the stabilization of the housing market, as the mortgage affordability just can't keep up with the ever-growing prices of houses. If this trend continues, if mortgages continue to drop, if Canadians can no longer afford these skyrocketing house prices,
Can't do it.
then that is when we've hit the point that the housing market cannot go on forever. And it was right at that point where we will start to see housing prices drop. And I think we start to see a bit of this when we look at the report by RBC. RBC notes that although 1 month's worth of data does not cooling off the market make, they did note that early real estate data from local real estate boards showed notable increases in the amount of listings coming to market, most notably in Calgary and Edmonton. Though we have talked many times on this channel about prospective homebuyers rushing into the market, trying to beat the rate hikes, trying to get their pre-approvals and their purchases in before the cost of borrowing goes up. RBC kind of points to the opposite phenomenon, which really isn't talked about that much, and that home sellers, potential home sellers, might be thinking in the same manner. If you know that the cost of borrowing is going up, if you know that that the party might be coming to an end, that Canadians will no longer be able to afford the sky-high mortgages, the sky-high prices that we've seen over the past few years, if you think the party's coming to an end, you're going to list your house. So, RBC is saying that we should be looking out for the trend of home sellers coming to market in much greater amounts than they used to be. Indeed, the report argues that should a critical mass of current homeowners see the coming months as an opportune window to list their property, now that interest rates are on a rise and ahead of potential policy actions targeting speculators, it would ease some of the supply restraints, both boosting near-term activity and reducing some of the pressure on prices. So as we've talked in the past, and as numerous reports and numerous studies, our politicians have all told us that we have a major supply problem here in Canada, RBC is saying that some of that supply problem could be solved as homeowners, those who have waited out, those who have sat out of the market for the past few years, rush into the market, listing their houses, creating an abundance of supply, which should help push down prices.
About time.
And the Toronto Real Estate Board just bore this out when they said at least for the past few months they are starting to see some balancing activity in the market, with sales dipping more than new listings. Even here at home in my hometown of London, Ontario, in the past few weeks in our data we've started to see that there have been more listings than there have been sales. If you're looking to see the real estate market cool down, if you're looking to see a reversal of prices, you really do want to see more supply than there has been demand. And judging by this report from RBC, judging from the Toronto Real Estate Board, and even what I've started to see in my own town, it looks as though there's going to be plenty of listings in the spring market for the next few months. So if you are looking for that real estate market to slow down, as I'm sure many first-time homebuyers out there are, these are all encouraging signs. And it makes sense. If we accept that homebuyers would rush into the market to try to take advantage before the cost of borrowing rises, it's equally as likely. Well, I'm not sure if it's equally as likely, I haven't done the math, but it's almost equally as likely that home sellers would have that same calculus as well, and would also rush into the market, would also rush into the market to try to take advantage of that low cost of borrowing. We should have a much better idea of what the market is doing once we get February's real estate data, the complete data. We have a bit of it trickling in, and once we start to see March's real estate data next month, combined with the inflation rate that is coming out next week and the interest rate hikes that it's looking more and more like will be coming down the pipe in short order. We'll have updates on this channel for all of that. Click like and subscribe if you want. Click like and subscribe if you want to get those, and thanks so much for watching.